If you want Tibetan culture, well, this video is as good as you're gonna get. You see, the Tibetan Autonomous Region is extremely difficult to get to, especially for foreigners. You need a special permit to get inside. It's very expensive. And so it's very difficult to get a feel of Tibetan culture when you go to Tibet itself. But it's okay, because I am in Qinghai, which historically was a Tibetan region. There were Tibetan leaders here, and then it's evolved over time where this is now Qinghai. It's a province of China, separate region, but it's on the Tibetan plateau. There are many Tibetans who live here. And this video, I guess, is kind of topical because the US government, they have tried to pass a bill. Not only have they said that Tibet itself should be an independent country, which is crazy, but also that this region, which is a province of China, different province of China, they say that should also be an independent country, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So in this video, I kind of want to chat to the locals, see how they feel, how is life for them, and is there religious freedom in Tibet? Let's have a look. So the main question really is, why are many countries such as the US bothered about Tibet? Well, Tibet is in a very strategic location for them. I think India, the US, they both love to be stationed there, right? The US, they're already in many places surrounding China. They're Philippines, Japan, Korea, places around Taiwan, for example. The thing is, Tibet, they've always been cautious with foreigners. It was in the 19th or 20th century that they banned foreigners. The Tibetan government, not the Chinese government, the Tibetan government, they banned foreigners from entering. They didn't want any interference. So the Brits tried to invade, Soviets tried to invade, the CIA, believe it or not, genuinely, I didn't believe it at first, but you can check this online. The CIA had many bases in Tibet itself, and Tibet didn't want to have this. They didn't want to have interference. They didn't want to change, and so they wanted their cultural identity to be kept. And so some people might just be saying, well, that's a bit hypocritical. Aren't China doing just that? Well, no, not really, because Tibet has been long part of China's history. A little bit complicated. There's a long history of it. It's been since the Tang Dynasty, which, where was that? It's like 600, 650 AD. It has been in and out. So, for example, the Qing government, when they collapsed, Tibet, they lost control of that. And anyway, since 1951, Mao took full control of Tibet, and it is now an autonomous region within China. Okay, so it is absolutely part of China now. And I think it's really important to see how Tibet has changed in that time. First of all, are the people happy? Is the culture preserved? But are their lives better off? Because Tibet was a very, very poor place. So the highway has really helped the economy. From Beijing to Lhasa, you can go. And it's the highest railway in the world. It's just mind-blowing when you think about it, because you have to go through so many mountainous regions. They have oxygen tanks inside the train as well, because people will be struggling, right? Oh my god, a little bit of noise behind me, lots of wildlife. Keep it down, guys, I'm making a video, jeez. And an interesting thing is, China are actually losing a heck of a lot of money from this. They are losing millions each week because of this highway. They keep it at extremely low prices, which is just unthinkable really in a lot of Western countries which focus on profit. In the UK, we've privatized all the railway, and it's just so expensive now to travel. So before 1951, the illiteracy rate was 90%. Didn't read and write their own language, let alone Mandarin. So traveling here, how are you going to communicate with the rest of China? Now, the illiteracy rate has dropped to 1.2%. So it still exists, and that's because some people, they do not want to go to school. The parents don't want them to go to school. They want to just focus on religion. However, for most people, they really want to get good jobs. And they have that option now because there are many schools. There are even universities here. And I go to one of the top unis in China. Extremely hard to get into, but there are a few Tibetans who go there. And actually, they get an advantage, the Tibetan students, because they want the students to be able to have that chance to go to the top unis. So they give them some extra points on their exam to enter the university. So it gives a better chance, because in Shanghai, maybe the parents, they have more money and they will have loads of classes every day after school. Possibly here, they can't afford that, or then maybe there's not that much opportunity as in Shanghai or Beijing. So it's really good to see. So there are lots of minorities, not just Tibetans, some people from Xinjiang as well, Yunnan. So there are lots of minorities who are able to go to the top unis. And because the Tibetan government, their main priority really was religion, there wasn't really a structure in terms of law and justice. So the whole system was just corrupt and a lot of mess. There are loads of books on this, on slavery, serfdom. It was horrible the way people were treated. If you did a crime, your hands would be chopped off, your eyes would be gouged out. But now, of course, they follow the Chinese law, but also it's actually an autonomous region. So technically, they kind of have their own legal system. They can decide some aspects of things, but most of it will be done through the central government. I'm not entirely sure what goes through their own system, but technically they do have that capability. Now, Tibet is seen as kind of this holy land, all right? Religion is the most important thing for them. Almost everybody is Buddhist. Many years ago, they had the Dalai Lama, okay? So he's this spiritual leader. And he even said that because religion is so important in Tibet, they don't really want to get involved with international politics and international affairs. Religion is what they want to be focused on, and we can see that religion is absolutely preserved here. So for example, I'm at this stunning temple, which is very different to a kind of Chinese style temple that you might find in Shanghai and Beijing and other cities. So you can also see these praying wheels. So they have, I believe, I don't know, it's like 100 or 1,000 prayers on them. And when it spins, when you spin it like this, it's that you are wishing for them. Okay, so I'm just going to spin it around. There we go. And that will give me luck and fortune. And you see that all around Tibet itself. You see loads of them, and people will just literally just walk on the street and just spin, 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 spin. Now, you can also see that you've got the three main colours preserved here. So China, they're not trying to control this place, not trying to dominate and take over. The culture is definitely here. So we have red, we have gold, and then over here, look at this. I think this is a stupa, because you have the dome at the top, right? This is white, so we've got red, white and gold, the three main colours of Tibetan culture, which I think symbolise purity, knowledge and the earth. And again, we have some Tibetan mythical creatures. These are the snow lions, okay? There's no Chinese writing, but rather we have the Tibetan scripture, okay? So at the top, you can just see that. I have no idea what that says, but it's got some Tibetan writing. And look, these guys here, you just spin it, spin, 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 and you're going to get loads of luck. So that's what these guys are doing. I've now come to this small Tibetan city. Yeah, most of the people who live here are Tibetans. And something that's very interesting is that everything around here has got the Tibetan scripture on it. Yeah, so it's not like it's being forcibly removed, the Tibetan culture. You know, if they were, then they would remove that. They would make everybody say you are only allowed to speak Mandarin, but it's not the case at all, of course. And yeah, this is something that's really, really interesting looking around, that everywhere has got the Tibetan scripture. So it's not like what you hear in the news, that they're trying to remove the language, the culture, stop people speaking it, because I mean it's all around. The road sign, if you just see over there, you have the Tibetan scripture above the Chinese. So yeah, so it has both, but you see this hotel, you've got the Tibetan scripture, literally every single shop, it has got it. And so a few years ago, this place was super underdeveloped. There was nothing here. I mean, it's extremely dry climate. There are mountains everywhere. It was really uninhabitable. But China, they put in so much money into this city, and you might be wondering why. I mean, importantly, this is in a very strategic location. Okay, so where I am now is almost at the start of the Yellow River. You can see actually, so the Yellow River, it's not very yellow at all. And of course, that's because we're at the beginning of the river. As you go towards the end, there'll be loads of sediments and all of that, so it will get a lot more dirtier. But here, it's nice and blue. Okay, so they're using the water from the river to help. So there's a lot of parks, a lot of forest. You can just see around me actually, yeah, just all around. There's a lot of greenery, even in the city centre. They've got loads of rose parks, rose gardens. And so it brings in a lot of business. It brings in a lot of trades. Many people will come here to work. In return, well, the locals, they can look after the river. They can preserve it. Like I said, it's very important. this area of the river. They've got to make sure there's no contamination. It'll be dangerous for the rest of the country. So I think this guy's Tibetan. Let's speak to some of the locals, see if they speak any local language. Hey, 你好。哎，你是藏族吗？会说普通话？普通话？听不懂。OK， 谢谢谢谢。
没听懂。
哦，你不会说普通话？中文吗？
中文不会。
不会。说中文吗？
我不懂。
哦 ，OK， 他不会说普通话吗？
对。
哦，你可以帮我翻译吗？哇，谢谢。你觉得藏族人在这里的生活怎么样？
一个人，休假就一个人。
哦，你会说那个藏语？
你这里的发展很好，生活在这样的环境，非常荣幸。
我们呢，平常就是在这个山区里面长大的，就是比较落后的那种，但是现在的这个就是对我们的就发展呀啥的，特别好。
我当时在这上小学的时候，这边就还没有这么好，就是比较的破旧。现在看起来就是特别的好，挺好的。
有很多自由。
对。
Quite interesting that none of the old people they can speak any Mandarin at all. They only speak their local language, so it shows, right? They're not trying to erase the culture. They're letting people speak it because it's super hard to get around this huge province. I've come on a tour guides for some parts of it anyway, not all of it, and I'll show you. I'm a little bit disappointed. It's not as beautiful. I was disappointed when I first came until they told the story of this place. So essentially this was all 98% desert. So there were sandstorms, it affected their lungs a lot. People were dying early. But as it is with Tibetan land, the Holy Land, they didn't want to leave their homes. They didn't want to move away from this place. So as hard as it was, they wanted to stay. And so the government, they made a deal. They wanted to put a lot of money into this place. So the government gave them a lot of money for research on how to avoid sandstorms and how to get a better economy of this place, to get more crops. So that is what exactly they have done here. So for example, can you see over there? There's like loads of squares. So they've tried to plant lots of grass seeds there, and that will stop the sand blowing. Yeah, very interesting actually. All right, now the weather has fortunately got a little bit cooler now. I don't know why we went to the desert at 1 p.m. in the middle of the day. It was absolutely scorching. But anyway, it's a bit cooler now, and we're just only 5 minutes away from another place, which sounded a little bit boring, but then they told me that it is a Guinness World Record holding location. I was like, oh, okay, let's have a little look, shall we? And I got here a little bit disappointed. I cannot enter. It's a bit of a sensitive location, so foreigners are not allowed to enter. Here we are. There's a barrier, but it is a solar panel farm, and the Guinness World Record is that it has the largest capacity for energy. It's very strategic because it's next to the Gobi Desert, like I said, 5 minutes away, and so the sun radiation levels are extremely high, which is about 30 or 40% higher than what you'd find in Beijing or Shanghai. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. This place would have been really interesting to have gone on. So you can just see all around you are solar panels. Don't know if you can guess how many. Maybe 100? Maybe 1,000? No, there are 7 million. 7 million. So this was a historically pretty poor area, and many homes, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have power. But now, of course, because of this, you can. There's a lot of electricity which can help homes, but also companies. So a lot of companies can come here because, especially in the mountainous, more difficult regions. So it's definitely boosted the economy. A lot of people have to come here for work, and it will indirectly bring in a lot more jobs as well. You can just see how it's helped improve the people's lives here. To top it all off, guys, to end the video, I think it's only suitable, right? It's only right to show you the nightlife, okay? And again, I'm only in a fairly small city, you know, not many people are here. And it's in a mountainous region, but the nightlife is so lively. I love it, it's really cool. So looking around, you have this great big food market, clothes market, that's where I got my awesome hat. In the middle of this square, we have these praying wheels again, so they're throughout the city. You can see really big ones, and you can just spin all of them. Oh, I think I might be doing it the wrong way. I'm not sure if there's a right way to go about it, but that guy, he's coming this way. This is definitely like a Tibetan dance. I've seen it a couple times here. You can see this lady in pink Tibetan clothing, and I think, yeah, that's a Tibetan song because it's definitely not Chinese. Like right in the center of the city, you got all of this Tibetan culture going on. People are happy. So I think I've had a much better understanding of Tibet than many politicians who have never been in China even. But anyway, I'm rambling on, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. What a beautiful place, what a beautiful place. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.